Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? It is currently 4:38 a.m. and it is 57 degrees on this beautiful Monday evening going into Tuesday. And I have had a very restless night. I went to bed at midnight with Alex and I fell asleep like right away. And my plan was to just get up when he went to work in the morning and do my vlog and get coffee and all that. But I woke up at 2:30 and I just was like, oh, I felt like so good when I woke up. And I was still like tired. Kind of like just stepped out of a really good dream. I don't even know how to explain it. I don't remember what my dream was or anything, but I just was like, I felt just like blissful almost. So I was like, I'm gonna go downstairs and have a coca-cetis, which is like one of those like Venezuelan candy cookie treats that we were sent, and a glass of water, and then I'm gonna come back and go to bed for the rest of the night. So I went down there and I had forgotten that I had bought this bag of like Hostess those crumble donuts, those crunchy, crumble donuts, those little ones the other day. And I like had eaten a cup, some of them out of there. And so I had like the rest of the bag. And so I took them and a coca-cetis upstairs with a glass of water, and I sat there in bed and just like ate them and was like just rolling through Facebook, which I hardly ever do. It seems like recently I've been like checking in on Facebook like every couple days, and I don't post really anything, but just kind of looking and seeing what people are posting and stuff. I don't know why. Anyway, because I hardly ever get on Facebook. So anyway, then I finished eating and I went and I threw like the bag away and took the glass of water to the bathroom. I'm always like really worried that I'm gonna knock it over in the middle of the night, like if I reach for something, that I'm gonna, like my phone or something or my glasses, that I'm gonna knock my glass of water. Oh my God, there's a coyote right there crossing this like major street. Oh, that's crazy. That's why you have to be careful about your little dogs, because coyotes will attack little dogs. I'm like, do you see where I'm at? Like I'm by where all the restaurants are and stuff. That's so weird. So then I came back and I tried to go to sleep and I just could not fall asleep for the life of me. I just kept on tossing and turning. And do you ever like want to go to sleep and you just can't? I mean, I felt awake. I was like awake. And at that point, it was like 3 o'clock. And I was like, I should just get up and go vlog now, because I'm wide awake. And then I was like, no, just get a good night's sleep and, vlog in the morning. And I laid there for like another half an hour, tossing and turning. And then I got on my phone again and I just was like looking at stuff, and I ended up looking at all of these articles because apparently about aliens and UFOs, because apparently 60 Minutes, I missed this, I want to see it now, did this. Apparently 60 Minutes is doing like a series of stories on UFOs. And so it was about all these Navy people that had come out recently sharing stories of how they had seen UFOs, and it was like an everyday occurrence for them when they were in the Navy. And 60 Minutes covered it, and then it was like in the Washington Post, and it was like on CNN, and it was all this stuff. And that the Pentagon, or I don't know, they're having to release information supposedly in the next month about everything the US government knows about UFOs. Well, if you've watched my vlogs long enough, you know that I'm a huge conspiracy theorist, and I love the show Coast to Coast AM, of which they talk about UFO conspiracy a lot on there. And I am somebody that is a huge believer in aliens and extraterrestrials, UFOs, whatever, all that stuff. I mean, to me, it isn't just like speculative ridiculousness. Like, I really do believe in it. It was interesting because there is this, like, I think it's like a 3-part series by Stephen Hawking. I watched it years ago, and like it's called, like, the first part of it is called Aliens or something like that, or anyway, and he goes in to talk about, it was like a documentary series that he did, and he goes in and talks about what it, like, our conception of what aliens would look like, but what they would really look like on another planet. I don't know, I just think it's rather arrogant for us to think that we're the only thing in the entire universe that has any kind of, like, living force. It may not be like the gray men that are on flying saucers, but do I think there's life on other planets or other solar systems out there in the universe? Absolutely. I can't imagine. For me, the fact that there's not, and when you watch that documentary, it's very, very interesting. And then he, like, goes from, like, New York City, and he, like, spans out to, like, you can see the whole earth. I think it's New York City. He goes from somewhere, and he, like, pulls out so you can see, like, the whole earth, and then pulls out further and further and further and further. And that's where it's kind of disconcerting that you realize, like, truly how small we are in the grand scheme of things. Like, not just Indianapolis, Indiana, where I live, but, like, Earth is how small it is. And so, the other thing that's interesting about that when you look at it is if there really truly are other more advanced worlds out there, why would they be that interested in us? You know, if they're so far advanced. But I have to tell you, like, one of the weird things for me, okay, so these are these new, like, koozie things. I have wanted one of these for, like, 6 months now. And Alex got me these today because he's been getting them for people for gifts. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like this, it's like a plastic, like, koozie. And here, I'm gonna pull in here. I want to show you this. If you have not seen these, I know there's some people out there that are like, oh, we use those every day. And then there's gonna be other people that are like, I have never seen this. I had never seen them until my cousin Caroline. We went over to her house and she was drinking like a White Claw or something, and she had it in there, and she swears by these. And supposedly it'll keep your drink super cold forever or warm. And so there's 2 things you can do. Here, I'm gonna show it to you because I think these are really cool. Okay, so here's what it looks like. This one's kind of like a gray camo. Should I turn the light on? Okay. So it has this screw thing, see? So you can take your can. I went and bought some Diet Coke the other day at Walmart. So you can take your can, okay? And you can either, this lid screws back on there. So you could pour it just in here, okay? Like inside this is what it looks like inside. You could pour it inside just like a drink with like ice or a glass of wine or water or whatever you want to put in there, right? Coke, Diet Coke. But if you put the can in there, you can screw it like this, and then the can can't come out of it, see? It's like a plastic koozie. And, okay, I've had this in my car now for about, let's say, half an hour, and it's still ice cold. It's supposed to keep your drink like ice cold. And everybody that I have talked to about these things absolutely 100% swears by them. So Alex had been getting them for everybody, and I was like, can you get me one if you're out and you see them? So he brought us 2 of the, because I really liked the camo ones. I like the ones that look like fake wood too. But anyway, this is where my mind was going in bed. This is where then I start spiraling, right? Well, before that, I guess, I had been like, just looking through Reddit, and I was like, reading all of these. Do you ever just like go to Reddit, like the funny stuff, and follow just like the main page, and you go down and you read these articles? And I read this one, I'm gonna save it for my video tomorrow that I'm gonna do, but it was about this letter that this bride-to-be had sent out to her bridesmaids. And then it's just like, I fall down the rabbit hole reading all these responses. And then there was, what was the other one? There there was something on there that was like really funny. They're either like really funny or they're really endearing. But I went in there and I was like reading all of these articles on the Reddit, and then I was like wide awake because then I got into the UFO stuff. And then I'm like going and I'm reading these articles that they're talking about that are on CNN and Washington Post about the 60 Minutes thing, and then it's they're linking them to other interviews. But you know, here's the thing, because like people in the comment section were like, oh, it's Independence Day all over again and it's War of the Worlds, and I was actually thinking of that movie Signs. I don't know if you ever saw that movie. I think that was by the guy that did I love that director, The Sixth Sense, and he did like 5 movies and then he kind of stopped. You guys know who I'm talking about? He's really an incredible director. He did The Village. That was such a great movie. But anyway, oh, M. Night I can't ever pronounce his last name. Shyamalan. I think that's who did Signs. I'm almost positive. With Joaquin Phoenix, and wasn't he in that? He was the brother, yeah, and Mel Gibson. So that was about like this family that lives out in the country, and then like UFOs are like taking over the world. Do you guys remember that? If you've never seen the movie Signs, you need to see it, because I think to some degree it's probably like well, positive or negative. I think if all of a sudden tomorrow we woke up and there were aliens everywhere, like in the sky, I think that's what it would be like. I think that's how the world would respond. And so it was interesting because I was sitting there thinking about it, and I was like, you know, when you get to my age and you grow up with all of these things, like, you know, you watch these movies when you're like growing up and they like are talking about like cars flying and stuff like that. Well, I mean, here it is 2021 and we still don't have cars flying, okay? Like, I mean, I'm sure that there's like technology that can do that, but we don't live in a world where there are no roads and cars are flying around. You know what I mean? This isn't the Jetsons. But when I was growing up, they had you believe that that's what the world was going to be like, right? And all of that kind of stuff. To where we really, if somebody had said to me, and like, I have this like image of me like sitting at a desk and like I'm writing down on a paper like for a classroom something 1980, and I remember writing down 1980, so I would have been 8 at the time. So what is that, 2nd grade? And I can see myself sitting in the classroom because I can see the teacher's desk there, and the window is like right over here, and I'm like in the back to the second row to the back, and I can see myself sitting there, and I've been writing 1980 down. Isn't it the weirdest thing? I don't know what class I was in. I don't remember anything about. I can just see the classroom, and I can see myself writing on the piece of paper 1980. But like, if you had said to me in 1980, like, what do you think the world's going to be like in 2021? Like, I couldn't even fathom what 2000, I mean, that just sounded like so far away, you know? And then one day you wake up and you're almost 50 years old and you're like, this world is a weird place, you know? And had you asked me 2 years ago or 3 years ago, do you think that we'll ever live in a world where like they're announcing UFOs and UFOs are flying around and whatever, I'd have been like, no, that's never going to happen in my lifetime. Do I think that eventually we'll know what happened about UFOs? Yes. Do I think it's going to happen in my lifetime? No. And if you had asked me about other things that are conspiracy theories would we know about or whatever, I would have said no. Do I think that this is possible? Yes or no? I would have said no, not in my lifetime, right? Because the actuality of things happening at a rate of a lifetime is rather slow. Until COVID happened. And I'm sure I am like the majority out there. If you had shown me COVID before it happened, let's say 10 years before, 20 years before, started talking about a friend of mine, something we had been talking about earlier. But if you had asked me like 10 years ago, you know, and if you had said, okay, there's going to be this like, you know, thing called COVID, and, you know, people are going to get really, really sick, and they are going to do lockdowns, and you're literally not going to be able to leave your house. You're going to be in a curfew, and on and on and on, and, you know, everything that's happened as a result from day one of it, right? I think, like, even honestly, like, I can remember, let's say, like, February, before a year ago, March, you know, I remember we were in Dallas, and then I went and visited Mel. I think that was the first weekend of March. And I remember right before then seeing like the pictures of people in China wearing masks on the street and thinking to myself, that's so crazy. Like, I can't imagine walking around everywhere. You know what is so weird, you guys? I just have to tell you this, okay? Well, I'll show you when I come back. But Richie Woods, I have seen cars back there like 3 times in the last month. Do you know what they have now there? An electric fence they put up. You can't go back there at night anymore. Is that not, talk about conspiracy theory, is that not weird? I've seen cars go back there like the last month. Like, I'll drive by and I'll see like lights that come back, like I'll see a car turn down in there and come back around and whatever. And now they have this metal fence across it that locks at night. They never had it before. The weirdest thing. But I remember like seeing pictures of like China, you know, and Korea, and these people were wearing masks on the street, and I thought, I just can't even imagine getting up every single day and like us going out on the streets and wearing masks. Like, that will never happen here. I just can't imagine, you know, I couldn't imagine it. And then when we went to, you know, Alex and I flew out because he went to San Diego and I went to Arizona that same weekend. I can remember I might have seen 1 or 2 people. I don't really remember. But like, I don't remember exactly, but I do remember there was like just a scattering of people in the airport that had masks on, like just a few. And I remember this woman next to me, she had bought this like package, and it was like from the gift shop, and it was like gloves and a mask and hand sanitizer and all this stuff. And it was like in this little package that you could buy. And she had bought it. And I remember she came on the plane, because at the time I thought this, I was just like, I said something to Alex afterwards. I was like, I didn't even understand the point of it. She came on the plane with none of it on and sat down, and then she took the package out and she's like reading it. She was sitting like right next to me, reading it. And then she put the gloves on and the mask and the hands, oh, and it had like wipes in it too. And hand sanitizer. And she's like wiping down the table. And I'm like, but you just walked on the plane with none of this, right? And then the whole trip, she sat there and ate chips or something and drank her water and would pull down the mask to eat. And then like real quick look at me and then like put the mask back on. And that was the way out there. And she was literally the only person, I think, on the plane that had a mask on. On the way back, 4 days later, it was a different story. Like, it was still not a lot of people, but it was enough that you noticed that there were people. This was before there was a mask mandate. And, so then we came back, and, you know, it was just like 2 weeks, 3 weeks later where everything just changed. I just never, I could never imagine before we were living it. I'm sure most people feel the same way, Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. If you had said to me that this is going to be the world that we live in, I just would have been like, what? Like, no. Like, I just couldn't have fathomed it. So, in the similar fashion, when I'm thinking about, like, the UFOs and stuff, and I'm like, look at all of these people at the Planet Fitness at 5 o'clock in the morning. I am so proud of them. That needs to be me. Instead, I'm vlogging and drinking a Diet Coke. But, and I was listening to my misfortune book. But similarly with UFOs, I literally can't really imagine what it would be like. So, but if somebody had said to me, like, do you guys remember the book The Hot Zone? Or I can't remember what the fictionalized version of that was, like the real one, I think. But there was like a fictionalized book, maybe it was called Outbreak or something, I can't remember, that was about like a disease that started and then it spread and it spread and then it spread. Do you guys remember that? If you had said to me, can you imagine that something like that might happen in your lifetime? I would say, I can imagine something like that could happen. Like, I could imagine it. But did I think it would? No. So can I imagine that UFOs might land on Earth? Yes. But can I conceptualize it as a reality? I really can't. So if it happened tomorrow, I mean, can you imagine how it would just, like, the world would be so just, like, freaked out about it? But it could happen, you know, and that's the thing, is like, whereas before, the world, now I'm looking at the sky and everything, you know, I always do anyway when I drive around, but whereas before, the world seemed very small and very safe, it's like now, I feel like we don't know what's right around the corner ever. Not just with UFOs, but with anything, you know? This really is staying cold, I have to say. So, am I making any sense whatsoever? Or is this just 5 o'clock in the morning? Just ramblings. Do you ever listen and read so much of something that, like, you believe it and you get really into it, but then you almost become, like, so saturated with it that you, like, don't anymore? Like, I totally believe in aliens, right? But, like, when you listen to the conspiracy shows and stuff, like, they talk about the different kinds, and they talk about the grays and all this kind of stuff, right? And what they look like, and the abductions. I've listened to all of it. I've watched all the movies, the documentaries. Actually, everybody was talking about this documentary not too long ago that was on, like, Amazon Prime, and I don't remember what it was called, but I went and watched it. I thought it was horrible. And they were like, oh, if you watch this, like, you'll totally believe in aliens forever. I watched it, and I was like, this is a bad documentary. Like, there are better documentaries out there. Whitley Strieber, actually, a lot of the writing that he has done is just, like, fantastic. A lot of it's fictional writing. But what was the book that he wrote? His very first one. About, maybe it was Encounter or something like that. I can't remember. But when you start listening to some of that stuff, it's like, then it becomes, for me, it's like, I do believe, but I'm not sure it's like how everybody thinks it is. I don't know if it's like this gray guy standing out, and I don't know that it's not, right? But it just almost kind of seems like that story is so far-fetched because it just seems so told over and over and over again. Flying saucer, you know, with the gray guy running it. I just don't know that I believe that story. I almost kind of think, honestly, if they are such a high technology, they're probably a form of some kind of like cyber being. Because I don't know why they would risk their physical bodies. So instead, why wouldn't they send like cyber beings, you know, out into space? That seems like that makes a little bit more sense to me. So our encounters would be more with like a cyber communicator, like a cyber being in place. Does that make sense? You know, like that's they're in place of the actual being themselves. And I just think, like, I mean, we've seen the same flying saucers since the 1950s. Unless that's because, like, for them, 1950 to 2021 is, like, such a short span of time for them that it's literally, like, zoom, zoom. And so, like, you know what I mean? Like, they've been there and back. And so, like, it hasn't really, like, how they've looked hasn't changed. Then... because when you look at, like, drawings and pictures from this is the thing, okay, that you have to think about when you think about, like, the speed of time, the speed of light and things like that. Like, for them, if they really can move that fast, then 1950 to 1921 wouldn't be, what, you know, 70 or 71 years. So, when you see drawings that are in the 1950s, and then you see drawings that are of today, and the ones from 1950 look dated, that's where, for me, I'm kind of like, that's where I get speculative, right? Or I get skeptical. Speculative. That's where I get skeptical, because I'm like, well, the pictures are changing because this is a rendition in the 1950s versus a rendition in 2021, right? Like, the art is changing, but the what it would look like isn't changed so much. But then, if you've watched, like, Ancient Aliens and things like that, I mean, we're talking about thousands and thousands of years, and the things that they find, those little things that they find and stuff, and the, you know, all of that, the hieroglyphics and whatever, show pictures that look very similar to what people are still seeing today. So if it were true that the speed of light or whatever, you know, that they just, like, they can move through that at nobody's business, then it would make sense that you wouldn't see a 1950s version of a, you know, a Pontiac and a 2021 version of a Pontiac. You'd see consistently the same Pontiac, because to them, it's just like that. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Okay. So, but the renditions of the drawings are somewhat different when you see some of them. I don't know. There's just so much out there when you think about it. You know, like, and if there is a cover-up because they are worried about mass hysteria, that makes total sense to me. I understand that, you know, that they wouldn't want people to know exactly what's going on, that we've been being watched for, you know. I would wonder, though, would it bring global unity to some degree, you know, because then it's a global issue, not a national issue. But I can understand that. If you listen to a lot of the conspiracy shows like Coast to Coast AM and things like that, the idea is that we have to feed out that it would be a negative encounter if they came here, okay, that it would be a threat. Like, that's what the idea that they give, because for us to think that it was a positive thing, we can't conceptualize that, and we have to be prepared because we don't know what would happen either way. So, you know, it's really interesting when you read the articles about it and whatever. Like, I'm a conspiracy theorist because I just like to talk about it and have conversations about it, and anybody that knows more than me, I'm like, oh, tell me about it, I want to hear it, and I listen to the radio shows and the podcasts and stuff like that. But, like, I don't claim to be any kind of expert on this stuff whatsoever. I just like to listen to it. I think it's fun to talk about it. And you know what is really interesting? This is where it started with me. So, when I was a kid, and I actually do own this movie, and it's in my office, and, because I've probably, I don't know, 15 videotapes there. So, there was a movie with Burl Ives. I think it was with Burl Ives, and it was called Earthbound. There's got to be at least one person out there that's seen this movie. Can we just talk about how corny my hair looks tonight? And it looked so nice earlier. It's getting so poofy on the sides. I'm getting cut on Friday. Look at that. But anyway, I feel like the guy from the Hunger Games. Do you know what I'm talking about? I like to sometimes think of myself as like an international model sex symbol, but the reality is I'm not. But that's okay. We'll live in the fantasy a little bit longer. So there was this movie, and it was called Earthbound, and it was with Burl Ives. I can't remember if he was an alien. No, he wasn't. And they lived in like Washington State or something, and he lived there with like his grandkids or something, his daughter and his I can't remember. But anyway, you can probably get it on the YouTubes. And then this UFO splashes in the lake. Like they had engine problems. And it's this family of aliens that like make themselves look like regular, you know, people. And then they come and they stay with like Burl Ives and his family, and they're real worried they're gonna get discovered the whole time that they're there. The dad in the show that plays the alien dad is famous too. I can't remember what his name is, but I can see them in my head. And like the kids become friends and stuff like that, and then Burl Ives is trying to help them get their ship out from the bottom of the lake or wherever it's at. I can't remember where it crashed, maybe in the woods. And he's trying to help them get it out so they can go home. And I remember watching that movie when I was a real young kid and became super, super fascinated with aliens. I also have a weird story. My friend and I, when we were in high school, it ended up becoming kind of a joke because she said, oh dear, at the end of it. But a friend of mine, we were driving down Eller Road, which is this road that connects like Carmel to like Castleton area. There's other ways to get there now, but back in the day, that was like a really easy road to take. And there are a lot of these housing additions in schools and stuff. I actually showed this in a vlog one day where it is, but none of that was there then. It was all just fields and like woods. And we're driving there, and we were supposed to meet our friends at like Denny's at like 10 o'clock or something. And I remember looking up at something, and she looked up at something too. And then the next thing I know, she said, oh dear, and I, but not joking. She was like, oh dear, like that. And I like stopped, and I was like, I looked, and there was like a deer standing right in front of us, like 20 feet away. And I just was like that. And we just stopped and looked at this deer. And then the deer looked at us, and it just kind of like ran into the woods. It was a single deer by itself. We had left at like 9:45 with like plenty of time to get to Denny's. I can't remember how late we were now, but anyway, we got there like enough late, like that our friends were like, where have you been? Like, we've been waiting for you. And we're like, what do you mean? And it was like the weirdest experience. Like, she and I talked about it later, but like we only talked about it just a little bit. It was like the weirdest experience. Like, we had missing time. And that's what a lot of those people talk about. I don't have any abduction memories or anything like that, but we just had missing time, and it was so weird. Because you hear a lot about that with conspiracies, and I don't know. But I don't even remember what I looked up and saw. I just remember seeing like some kind of light in the sky, and then the next thing was the deer. It was the weirdest thing. I'll be interested to see what they come out with. They're saying that the report will say that there's going to be more reports to follow, and that they won't actually say a whole lot in the first report. Anyway, you guys were like, Peter, this is the weirdest vlog ever. It's interesting to sit around and talk about. Did you ever, I recently bought this book for Audible because I read it when my ex and I went to St. Lucia. And I mean, I tore through this book. It was so good. And it was called The Taking by Dean Koontz. And it's Dean Koontz only, I think it's his only book about aliens. And it's about these aliens that come to this town, and they just take over this town. It's really, really well done. Very scary. I literally read it, it took me no time to read it. So I bought it on Audible because I wanted to listen to it again. I actually might listen to that next, since I'm talking about all this stuff. I'm like already almost halfway through the Janet DeLeon book. I'm like, this is the problem, is that I'm getting really sad because I don't have, like, the next one I'm gonna have to wait 2 to 3 months for it to come out. Somebody did recommend to me on last night's vlog, though, a series that has 8 books in it. I took a screenshot of it, by a woman. I can't remember what it was called, but anyway, something about, like, sisters or something, and there's 8 books, and the author ended up passing away. That's why there's only 8 books. I have so many books to read, but anyway, The Taking I downloaded when, I think it was Jen that gave me all those credits. She gave me like 11 Audible credits. So I had to pick books because she had to actually translate them into a book to give me the book, and so she couldn't just give me the credit. So The Taking was one of them, because I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick some books that I want to reread. So I'm really excited about that. I'm just really excited about reading this summer in general. I can't wait to just like sit outside on my front porch and read and watch some of these shows. I have so many shows written down. You guys recommended me shows. Mayor of Eastwood, a couple people have recommended. I wrote that down. There were a couple other shows that some people recommended that I wrote down. Handmaid's Tale, Alex and I watched. A lot of people recommended that. Alex and I watched the first season, and then we started watching the second season, and we couldn't get into it. I think it's absolutely beautifully shot. I loved the book. I read the book by Margaret Atwood during COVID, like the first month or two. I read it sitting in the driveway. I have the Testaments, which is the follow-up that she just came out with probably 2 years ago, but I haven't read it yet, or I have it on Audible. I haven't listened to it yet. But Alex and I we picked it as a show to watch. We just thought it moved so slow. And I may have been talking about this the other night. I love the actress that was in The Invisible Man, that plays whatever her name is in The Handmaid's Tale. I really struggle watching shows. So I'll tell you where we stopped, was when her husband, I think it might be her husband, or boyfriend, husband, like in the real world before she's in the position that she's in now, gets to Canada or wherever and meets the girl that she played Pusao in Orange is the New Black. Do you know what I'm talking about? And she was in like that brothel house with her. And she's in Canada too. That was the episode we stopped on. I think it's like the second or third episode of season 2. But now everybody's talking about how good Handmaid's Tale is. And so Alex said to me the other night, he's like, well, maybe we should pick it up again and start watching it. I mean, I remember enough about it that I feel like I could pick it up. I would have to watch the episodes to be watched over again on season 2, but I could do that, and I think I could catch, right up and be okay with it. The thing is, for me, I really struggle watching shows. Like I was talking about this with Wentworth the other night. Okay, somebody said something to me about my vlog, and they said, Peter, you talk about not ruining shows, but you just went in and talked about all of these characters being killed off, and okay. Here's my issue. If an episode of a TV show comes out, and I'm talking the season finale of RuPaul's Drag Race, and the finale happened, and it ends at 10 o'clock, and 10:01, RuPaul's Drag Race posts on Twitter, congratulations to Simone. I'm talking about that. Or people that are live tweeting what's going on while it's happening, okay? I'm not talking about 6 years later when anybody that wanted to watch Wentworth could have watched Wentworth. I'm not talking about that. That's fair game. If I get and I'm watching somebody's video and they're talking about, the wedding of Luke and Laura from the General Hospital, I'm like, hey, that's not fair. I might have watched that show, But I will say this, but I do try to not say stuff about movies, and so thank you for bringing that to my attention, because I'll try to do a better job in the future. Because we live in a world of streaming today, so a show that you might have seen when it came out is not necessarily a show somebody else will have seen. So I do understand that. So thank you for bringing it up, But anyway, I struggle watching a show like, with that being said, I struggle watching a show like Wentworth, where the horrible characters just continue to get away with stuff over, and it's not just that. There's so many shows like that, but it's just like there doesn't seem like there's any justice, you know. And I'm not talking about I need a happy, feel-good show at the ending. I'm just saying, like, I don't want to end every show like feeling like there's not any, like, there's no way that this person's even gonna rise to the top, you know? It's just like, it's hard to watch, I think. And that's how I feel with Handmaid's Tale. I'm just like, could this woman have any worse of a life than she already has? Like, it's just like there's no hope. And I think they're going to continue to keep her in the situation that she's in, probably. Oh, no, that's not true. Where did we get to? Well, we got to a point where they were hiding her. And then she was, like, in that warehouse. And we got to where then they weren't hiding her anymore. Like, I don't want to say what happens for people that haven't watched Handmaid's Tale, you know? But, like, we watched all of that. I don't know, it just doesn't seem like there's any justice. The woman that plays, so what's the guy that she lives with, the colonel or whatever? The woman that plays his wife is gorgeous. I can't remember who she is, but she's so pretty. So, yeah, Handmaid's Tale. So I have enough shows to watch this summer. I'm really excited. Because I can sit there outside, and those new chairs that I got are so comfortable. I can sit there outside, and I can, like, binge watch a show. If like, Alex goes to bed, and I don't want to go to bed yet, you know? Like, I can binge watch a show for, like, 3 or 4 episodes. So I'm excited about that. And then, what else was I going to talk about? Had my literature group meeting tonight. Oh, my God, it was so much fun, you guys. So we went over to my friend's house. It was 5 of us. And my one friend brought her daughter over who was like 4, and she was playing in the living room, and she was watching like some show she likes on YouTube. And then my other friend who has a niece, it was her house that we were at. She has a niece that's like same age. And so she has like all these dollies and clothing that were hers when she was like growing up. And so she brought them out. And I was talking to her, and I was like, I go, what are your babies' names? She's so cute. She goes, Anya and Elise. I looked at my friend and I said, are those like Disney princess names? And she goes, we have all the Disney princesses. And I said, what do they like to do? And she said, oh, they like when I brush their hair, because she was brushing their hair. I said, they do. And I have this joke with my friend, because her daughter, this one that I'm talking about, she calls breakfast breakfast, and I think it's so sweet. And so I said, now, do they like breakfast? And she said, oh, And I said, what do they like for breakfast? And she said, pancakes. She was so sweet. I think she was actually probably younger than, she was probably like 3 or 4, or 3.5, 4, or something like that. She was real sweet. But anyway, so she played in the living room, and which was like, we were like, my friend had just built this huge patio, like inside a screened-in porch. It's gorgeous, and they have like these tile floors, wooden tile floors put down from IKEA, and then she had this furniture from IKEA. It just was gorgeous out there, and like the windows from like the living room, like these big bay windows, look right into it, so it feels like the living room and the front porch are like, or the screened-in porch are all connected. And so we and then our friend's husband and son were there too. So anyway, she made us like nacho dip and stuff first. And so we had cheese dip, and then we had this like spicy kind of like homemade salsa that she made. It was like almost kind of like a curried thing. And then she had a homemade guacamole, and oh my God, all this stuff was so good. So we had chips and all of that. And then we had tacos. And everything was vegetarian except for that she had a bowl of ground beef and then she had a bowl of rice. And so well, first I was putting like the rice into the taco, and it was like I was having such a hard. It stopped. I didn't even know I was anywhere near the end as I was getting ready to talk about Tanya Jean. So Tanya had taken like the chips from like before, and she had made like this taco salad, and I was having a hard time getting the rice. It was like Mexican rice, and I was having a hard time getting the rice into the shell. And then let me just tell you about this, okay, about how fantastic these tacos are, because I don't like homemade tacos, period. I just don't. Maybe it's the ground beef, or I don't know, but I just like when I was growing up, and my mom would make homemade tacos, I really couldn't stand it. Now, and I, like, when people are like, oh, you should come over to our house for dinner, we're having tacos. I'm like, yum. I don't really like them. But anyway, my stepmom, though, she made chicken tacos. And I would, like, beg her to make these chicken tacos. I loved them. I always wanted chicken tacos. And then one day I felt so bad, because you ever just, like, have enough of something, you can't have it anymore. She had made the chicken tacos for me, and I went over there one night. I just was like, I couldn't anymore. I'd had enough chicken tacos in my life. So, you guys, this Coca-Cola, I like to buy the world a Coke. Dun, 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 dun. Is that the song? Anyway, give a Coke and a smile. But anyway, it's ice cold. Ice cold. I swear by this thing. So anyway, that being said, I don't know the brand of it. But you can Google it. Or I'll ask Alex, because I took the wrapper off of mine. Because it had like this, paper wrapper. It doesn't matter. Anyway. So, I looked at Tanya's taco salad. Tanya always gets taco salad. Well, not always, but when we go places, she'll get a taco salad if they have it on the menu, because she likes it. And I always think it sounds so good, but then, like, I don't. There's always something I think I would like better on it. So, after I got that first taco dealt with and messed with the rice, like, all shoved in there, I took the second shell and I started doing it, and the top of the shell broke off. So I just piled on rice and cheese, like the, queso, and then the mozzarella cheese and lettuce and salsa and guac. And then I put the other shell on top of it, and I just like chopped it up like that, and I had like a taco salad. Taco salad. It was so good. It was so delicious. And then my other friend, the one with the daughter, she brought a sugar cream pie from Jim Dandy. She went to Jim Dandy and got it, which is like, I don't know if you don't have a Jim Dandy where you're at. It's kind of like I don't really know how to explain it. It's kind of like a small town Perkins is what it's like, or Denny's or something like that. A little bit more like, it's actually in Noblesville, a little bit more hometown than like a Denny's. I actually was telling them the story tonight because my old sponsor, who's probably 78 now, he and I and this guy that I was sponsoring, who at the time was probably about 23 or 24, he was so funny. He and I were like, to my sponsor, one day we were leaving a meeting, and I said, hey, we should ask him if he wanted us to go to lunch, because we were going to lunch after this meeting. And so we asked my sponsor, and he said, yeah, sure, let's go to Jim Dandy, which is like, right in downtown Noblesville, kind of. And so, which is where I'm at right now. It's where I drive every night. Either Noblesville or to Zionsville. I drive one of those places. So anyway, actually, I should just drive by. Do you guys want to see Jim Dandy since I'm telling the story? Well, we can just go there as like a field trip. Not that it really matters. But anyway, you guys are like, Peter, we know what a Jim Dandy is. So I won't drive over there. They're probably opening for breakfast right now, honestly. But anyway, so all three of us go over to the Jim Dandy. Okay, my battery died. And I was like 5 minutes until I could, I was like driving like 5 minutes until I could find another place to pull over into, right here at Marco's Pizza. But anyway, so I don't really exactly remember where I left off. But what I was talking about was Jim Dandy. So I know I didn't get to the joke. But anyway. So we all go up into Jim Dandy, right? And we're sitting there, we're looking at the menu, and I'm looking at my sponsee, and there's like, I don't know what to get on the menu. It's like, you know, it's like the Jim Dandy double, the Jim Dandy triple, the Jim Dandy single with cheese, the Jim Dandy double with, I didn't know what to get. You know, there's like the Jim Dandy chicken, and all this stuff, pot pie. And we go in there, and first of all, my sponsor at that time, he like went to the Jim Dandy like 4 times a week. He like knew everybody working in there, and we go in there, and he's like, hey, Sally. Hey, Joanne and Judy, good to see you. Tim, nice to see you. So we go over and sit in this booth, right? And I said, what should we get? I don't know why. This is so dumb. And it's so funny because I told this story tonight, and my one friend, she like literally lost it. But of course, they know the people that I'm talking about. But she lost it when I said it. And I still don't think, I don't know why it made us laugh so much at the time. But like to this day, it just makes us laugh so hard. So I looked at my sponsee. When I see him to this day, I mean, and I'll say to him, like, what should we get? And he says it back to me. We like literally just like lose it. But anyway, so I look at my sponsor and I said, well, what should we get? And he looks at us real serious and he goes, well, Jim Dandy, of course. I don't know why that is so funny, but it was so funny to us at the time. We just laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. But anyway, so my friend brought sugar cream pie from Jim Dandy. It was delicious. And then my other friend made homemade lemon cookies. Oh, they were so good. And then my friend made coffee and brought coffee out for all of us. And we played, what's that game called? Where it's on your phone and then you like hold it up against your forehead. And then it's like, you have to guess what the things are. Tanya and I are so good at that. Tanya and I were a team. We got like 8 points every time. We were so good, 7, 8 points every time. You know, where it's like you have to like guess it, and if you get it right, you put it down, and if you don't get it right, you pass it to the back. What is that called? Headbands or something like that? No, headbands is the one that Tanya and I played that has the like the things that go around your head. It's called the head something. But anyway, that is such a fun game. So we all played that. And then, so our friend, she had to get her daughter home and into bed, so she left. And then my friend that we were at her house, her son and husband came out, and then they played the games with us. And then they went inside, and then we talked about like, because we decided we weren't going to read tonight, that we were just going to celebrate being sober together in this group and all this kind of stuff, because we had, like, we see each other in our home group every week, but we had decided that we were just going to, like, take that night to, like, celebrate just being friends and sobriety and stuff. I know it looks like the sun is coming up, but it's, like, pitch black outside. That is, I don't know how the camera picks that up. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know if I show it over here if it'll look any different. It really doesn't, but do you see there? It's like, I mean, it's not. It's there. That is not what the sky looks like right now. When I look at the sky in my rearview mirror, it's pitch black. Is that not the weirdest thing that the camera picks that up? But anyway, and so we just sat around and we talked and told stories. We talked about character defects a little bit because that's what we're studying in the book that we're reading right now, Drop the Rock. And it just was so fun. And we got there. I got there about 7:15, and we left I took Tanya home. Her husband brought her out there, and then I took her home and took her by the gas station, got her a fountain pop on the way home. And then, we left there about 11 o'clock. I think it was like 11. Actually, it was like 11:11 when I looked at my phone. Oh, because I was texting Alex to tell him that I was coming home. And I don't know if I talked about this on here or not, but we, like, the last 2 times that we have gotten the dogs groomed, the groomer couldn't do Boo Radley's face because he just pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled. And Tanya's like, I'm just really worried about him. Like, he's so stressed out in that moment. And so, actually, the last time, the vet had given us a sedative to help, like, to give him before the grooming. And he was supposed to have half of it the night before and half of it the next morning, and it didn't help at all. So, and the groomer that works for Tanya is fantastic. She is so good, and she is so gentle with the dogs. And so, and we've attempted to groom the dogs before too. Tucker's great. Boo Radley doesn't even like to be washed. And so his hair and his face has just gotten longer and longer and longer in his head. And so we call him our little lion because he's been, like, his hair is so long. Tanya's like, yeah, he's fine with, like, the rest of his body, shaving it down, but, like, with his head, he doesn't want anybody, he just goes like this. And actually, with the vet, like, when she checked his teeth the last time after they had their teeth extracted, or she checked their mouth after his teeth were extracted, Tucker just opened right up. Boo Radley is just like, he like goes like this, and so they said, can you hold him? And I held him, and our vet is great with him, and he trusts her. And like, when I was holding him, he was fine, but he wouldn't just do it like on the table, like just open his mouth. So Alex tonight, I guess, decided while I was gone that he was going to groom him, and he groomed Boo Radley's head, and he looks so cute, you guys. His hair's like real short, like Tucker's now, and he seems so proud of it. Like, I think dogs know, you know. And so Alex sent me the picture, and I was like, oh, he's so sweet. So I couldn't wait to get home and snuggle with him, and he looks so good. Alex did such a fantastic job on him. So I was like, little guy, I go, you don't have to have it be groomed again for like another 2 months. So this is your early summer haircut, and then we'll have a late summer haircut. So they both look fantastic now. They're both a little grown out. It's funny because I said to Alex, I go, he looks chunkier than he did before. Like, I think that Boo Radley's put on some weight. Like, not chunky, but more solid than he did before. Anyway, that's a good thing, right? Although he always looks so skinny, but every time we would have him weighed, the vet would be like, he's perfect and within the perfect weight for his size. So he's just very long. So came home and hung out with them. And what did I do today during the day? Well, I got up and I just like did not a whole lot around the house, just busy doing a whole lot of nothing. And then I left and I got my coffee, and then I went to Popeyes to do this review, but the line at Popeyes was so long. I think it was because I got there right around dinner time. I went in to review these chocolate beignets, but by the time I got there, it was so busy I couldn't even. The line was literally like halfway around the building. So I just came home, and then I made a drama video, and then I made a Peterisms video, and I uploaded my Peterisms video and totally forgot that I had uploaded it by the time I left, so I didn't publish it. So that'll be up tomorrow. It's a longer one. I read 3 meditations on there, I think. Yeah, it's like 16 or 18 minutes long. And then took a shower and got ready. Made the bed really nice so that Alex, when he came home, that would be nice. Alex went, he worked today, and then he went and did his hot yoga afterwards. He actually, Melissa's niece that's visiting, she's in college. She teaches, like, she's a certified, like, spin coach or something. And so she went with Alex today to hot yoga. And he said she really liked it, but it was intense. I always think that I want to go, and then Alex is like, I just don't know that you can handle it. He's like, I'm like, well, okay, well, I mean, I know I'm out of shape, but he's like, no, the heat is just a lot. But he loves it. He loves it. I do want to try it one day. I mean, I can always just leave if I don't like it, you know? So, yeah. That was our night. Just such a great summer night, you know? Early summer night. I guess it's not summer yet. Whenever I say that, there's always those people that are like, summer's not till June 21st. I'm like, I know. But it's basically summer because it's nice weather outside, and I'm excited. We're going to do this like once a month or once every other month. Tanya said she's going to host the next time. But it was fun. This is where, like, now tonight I didn't have any social anxiety because these are, like, my dearest, closest friends, you know? that we shared literally everything with. Like, you know, we share the deepest stuff about each other's lives with each other. So, like, I didn't have any social anxiety, you know, just showed up and walked in the door kind of thing. But this is a good example of, like, when I was gonna say suit up and show up, but when I show up for that too, when I suit up and show up, but when I show up to things and I end up having such a great time, I'm like, I wish I went to things more often. Like, I wish I, you know, wish I had $1 million. What's this? Wish if I had $1 million. My mom and I used to sing that song by the Bare Naked Ladies. If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning. I love that song by Peter, Paul, and Mary. But anyway, the old folk song. No, but like whenever I go to stuff like this, I like don't want to leave. I'm like having such a great time. I was like, I don't want to leave, you know? And I'm like, it's just so much fun. And I don't know. Just camaraderie of hanging out with friends and having good food and just sitting there talking and laughing, you know, and so fun. So it was a great night. It was a really, really fun night. I will say the one thing about this is that the koozie actually gets kind of cold. It's not cold, but it's like cool. But yeah, I'm like at an hour almost, I think. I don't know what time I started this. But like this can is still like, the Diet Coke in it is still like ice cold. That's weird, isn't it? I swear by these things. Anyway, well listen, I think I'm gonna get off here now. I'm gonna listen to a little bit of Misfortune. I'm like wide awake. I don't know how I'm gonna fall asleep tonight. You know, I would say that it's like the coffee that I had. Oh, and the Dr. Pepper that I had, and the Diet Coke that I had, because I got a fountain pop on. Oh, that's what happened. Oh, you guys want to hear about this really quick? Okay, so I was trying to get my videos done, right? And so I had done this drama video about Tati and how this person took this picture with her on Instagram, right? Which, by the way, I reached out to this girl and she responded and she was so sweet. I'm going to read it tomorrow in my video. But, so I'm like uploading the video. I'm trying to get all this stuff done. I texted my friend and I said, hey, I'm probably going to be like 10 minutes late because I'm trying to get this video up before I leave, right? And I had rendered the whole video. It was all completed. And then I had transferred it to my phone, which that takes a while. And then I was like uploading it on my phone because it's quicker to upload it on my phone than it is on the computer, right? So I'm like, it's got like 5 minutes until it's done. And I'm like getting out of the shower, getting ready to lotion up my body, and blow dry my hair so I can throw on my clothes and just be out the door, right? And I'm stepping out of the shower and I'm like, oh my God. I had forgotten to include the picture in the video, which, you know, if you watch my drama channel, I'm like a threat for doing that, right? Like I'm killing for leaving out pictures. And I don't do it to be funny or like I don't care. I honest to God forget, and the whole process of putting it all together by the time that I remember is always like, is it even worth it? But this was important because the whole video was about this picture, right? So if I didn't put this picture up, then like the video wouldn't make sense. So I had to re-render the whole video, add the picture to it, re-upload it. Well, our internet is fast, like on my phone, and our internet's fast, but it's not that fast. I don't know why the gas station by our house, but the internet is so fast. Like it takes me like 5-10 minutes to upload a video. So I transferred it back to my phone. I asked my friend if she cared if I published my video at her house and finished up like the details of it, because I already had the thumbnail and everything made, which was like the world's worst thumbnail, just like putting it together really quick. But anyway, so I go to the gas station and I'm just like, I went and got a fountain pop. I got a Dr. Pepper because I was like craving a Dr. Pepper, and I hadn't had a fountain pop for a while, so I was like, well, I don't know when the last fountain pop I had was, but anyway, it didn't feel like I had a fountain pop for a while, so I got a not like a Dr. Pepper. So I got a Dr. Pepper and I'm sitting there and it like uploaded in like just no time flat, and I feel by the time I got back out, it was like processing already. I couldn't believe it. So it was less than 5 minutes. And, oh no, there was a little bit of a line in there. So and then when I got to her house, after I had like the chips and salsa and guac and cheese and stuff at the beginning, I went inside and I uploaded it. So that was what happened with that. It was such a good day. I will say this, that like, I've been listening to a lot of music driving around, but when I listen to like books that make me happy, like the characters like the Misfortune series and stuff, you guys, it really affects me in a different way versus reading something that just brings me down. Like, as far as the whole conversation of like allowing things in that are light versus dark, like there's something to be said for that, because when I was reading that last book, it just was like, somebody asked me recently, they're like, how do you differentiate, like, how can you watch or read true crime and that doesn't bother you, but other stuff does? It does bother me sometimes. I'm just so fascinated with true crime that I feel like I can watch it or read it and kind of like, I'm kind of immune to it on some level. I don't know how, like, it's just as like, from having read or watched so much of it, like I don't see it the same way. But there's a lot of stories that I read that when I'm done reading them or we're done discussing them, I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't continue to talk about this case anymore. It's too much for me. It's too sad, I might still be interested in it, but it's like I can't. So, like, the true crime stuff, I struggle with that as well sometimes, That's a discussion that we've had in the book club, is how, depending on what the topic is. I mean, when we read the book Dope Sick, and I had just watched The Pharmacist, which somebody recommended to me, I think that's what the book is called, the movie is called. It's about the guy who's a pharmacist and his son dies of an opioid overdose. I'm almost positive that's what it's called. I had read that. We had read the book Dope Sick, and then I had watched that show at the same time or around the same time. I just couldn't read anything else about like people dying from addiction at that. It just was too much for me. I just couldn't, And even though at that time was when all of these, huge settlements were happening and people, were like, the companies were closing down, and the company that owned, Oxycontin and all that, I couldn't read the articles. I just was like, I just can't. Like, there's too many lives lost in association with this, that it's not just a pop culture story to me. It's more than that, So, I don't know. But I will say that, like, reading the Misfortune series just the last 2 days has put me in such great spirits. I don't know, it just feels like I'm back home again in sinful Louisiana, like I said last night. But anyway, alright, that was a long PS. Postscript. Peter says. Postscript, PS means, PS is postscript, but it also means Peter says. So anyway, I hope you guys are having, if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. I hope you guys are having a magically amazing Tuesday, which is one of my favorite days of the week because it's my home group night. And I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya! And for anybody that made it this far and needs to hear it or wants to hear it, one more I love you. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya!